Yeah, there's something about this time that is calling me to come on here to make these videos. Normally, I save my long content form for TikTok, but I don't know, something's calling me to show up on YouTube and speak about my process a little bit more. I think this is part of the reclamation. It's been a year since I've moved into this space, and also a year since I started talking about my process again. In some ways, the energy is still present, the energy of shame when it comes to my process, I suppose. And, sometimes people end up planting poisonous seeds in our psyches or in our auric fields or in our creative process without even really knowing how toxic that statement was or a quick comment was. It's really important to safeguard your space as an artist. And I don't really know who this video is for necessarily, and not in like a TikTok. I don't know who this is for, but in like a I genuine I don't know if this is really for the artists or for the people who listen to my music on YouTube or for my friends in my life that know me in the physical form or for strangers on the internet who happen to come across this video for the algorithm. Really have no idea, but something about this time is potent as it pertains to the process of art making. And if you're someone that doesn't, make music or don't really contribute to the creative zeitgeist, then you're free to listen to this video. And obviously, but I think as I'm speaking through this process, this is for people who do contribute to that space in some way or another. um I'm biting my nails again, which is very bizarre because I thought I overcame this. I think this is a loop, I suppose, seeing as how it would have been the first year anniversary since moving into my studio. I had a friend over tonight and we hadn't seen each other since January. It's June today, pretty much July. And we were supposed to make music together, but we ended up having a really long chat about our processes and what they've gone through and what I've gone through. And they said something to me tonight that I want to iterate to you, whoever's listening, that so much of the time when we are making this work, or when we're focused on a creative task or an idea, and there's such an interesting energy right now, is like even as I'm like speaking about this, that is really haunting, and I can trace it back to certain lineages and stuff. It's the same thing that I speak about when I talk about overcoming certain energetic frequencies. And it gets me tired. I'm expelling them from my space. Do not be discouraged, even though you do not see an immediate thing happen. I had a friend tell me tonight that they said I'm speaking to me. They said to me, they're like, you're the only person I can speak with about these things, that who's willing to go to these depths of the conversation and of certain ideas and take certain motions to certain levels where most people would give up, or they would make a comment to sort of glide away from what they're pointing to. YouTube is such an interesting space to talk about this as well. This is not something I ever thought I would be sharing here on the tube, the tubey space. I'm not going to edit this video either. It is what it is. You're just going to have to sit with the pauses and the thing. It's such a specific energy that I'm up against. It's such a heavy critique, heavy, shadowy projection, projectile bullshit energy that has followed me my entire life. And now that I'm able to sit with it instead of, click away or like feel a way about how I'm coming across or have the video do whatever, or even feel a way about any of this, really threatens it. I think it is very unhappy with how much I've progressed and how brave I've chosen to be very much alone in this process. I don't think people realize, people who think they know me in real life, if you're someone in my old life, and when I say old life, anybody who knew me before 2021, April, specifically April of 2021, if you knew me before that time and you haven't really been in my life right now, I mean, I'm sure as you're listening, I'm sure you're a different human being. I'm not, I don't even go by the name that you used to know me as, you know. It's completely not what you think. And so I feel like I'm like getting these downloads of like, wow, people in my life really have no idea who I am. And I feel like they were really comfortable with thinking that they did so that they could play out whatever narrative they had in their head about who I was in relation to them or what role I played in their life. And I love how far away I am from that space and how solid I am. And so tonight I had confirmation of that again, because sometimes when we're creating things in the ethers, it can feel like we're very much alone, or like we're like, what's the point of this? You know, if we didn't get the 10,000 streams, or I don't know, the 500,000 followers on whatever social media platform, that none of this is really doing the work that we want it to do, or that it's doing, you know. And this weekend, especially this past weekend, I received multiple confirmations that the work that I'm doing behind closed doors in the abyss world, in the dark spaces, in the underbelly of what this work requires, is creating an impact way beyond anything I thought was actually happening. I mean, you know, I have like confirmation sometimes in the world, and I see things in the world news and, you know, things in general essences of situations, but to have direct contact with someone and like have them say, hey, like what you told me a few months ago or even a few years ago is still sticking with me, and I've like really read and like I've really resonated with it, or I've really created structural change in my life because of what you've said, like that means so much to me. Like the person on here that has commented and mentioned how my music or my songs saved their life, even just save like one person's life force, like that is the point of this. It's not about how is this charting on the thing, or to get rich and famous from the craft, or yeah, I'm gonna be a actor or a musician to get like whatever. Like that is so not the point of any of this. And if that's why you're in here, to make music or to, I don't know, do whatever it is you think you're doing, then you know, okay, you do you. Like, but I want to create a differentiation between those of us who aren't doing it, those of us who are making music to save our fucking soul so we don't off ourselves or do other things to other things that are really destructive. Like, I I urge you to stay in that space and to not get swayed or sidetracked by the outside noise of, really, at the end of the day, mediocre shit. Obviously, Olivia Dean is not mediocre shit. Okay. Does she have the millions of, yes. So this is not either or. But I'm sure Olivia Dean didn't go into making music to get rich and famous to become Olivia. She was making music when she was Olivia Dean without the recognition of being who she is. You know, like I feel like you understand where I'm going with this. I also feel myself so differently on here on YouTube than I am when I'm on TikTok. And it speaks a lot to the platform and the vibration that platform exists on as well. Anyway, that's the message, I guess, if you can parse through the other thing, excuse me, that I was speaking on here. And, you know, if my family's watching at this point, um, I don't really know. I think that's a whole separate video, honestly, because I haven't spoken to you guys in a really long time. And I had to have a conversation with a friend to like really understand what it is I'm going through. It's like you say you know, you're sorry, right? And this is the message to anybody at this point. You say that you're sorry, right? And you say you forgive someone and that person asks for forgiveness, if that person continues to do similar things to hurt you and you accept them back into your life, that counts as a form of self harm. And so some energies are tricky by masquerading as family members or your close friends, or but we've known each other for 18 years type shit. It's a very tricky energy to make you lower your standards, remove your boundaries, and ultimately sacrifice your life force energy to energies that are only going to repeat cycles because that's all they know how to do. Loops only know how to be loops. Fear only knows how to be fear. It's not their fault that they are a loop and that it is fear that you're interfacing with. They are what they are. You, however, have a choice to evolve and to say no. Does that mean you might be very much by yourself for a while? Yeah. But that sometimes is necessary for you to sit with and to solidify the lessons so you don't repeat them again. I've had to learn a really hard lesson this past year about friendship and about trust and about being very selective and patient with who I let into my life. Not even like and this is the thing too, right? Like the more you ascend and the more you go through this process, when the opposition knows that it cannot lure you back into old patterns through romantic partners, it will try its best to do that with professional relationships, professional situations, and friendships. Because it's still a relationship. You're just not sleeping with each other, right? Like we're not exchanging bodily fluids, but you're still very much intimate with certain people in terms of how much time you spend with them, how much energy you give to them, the care, the love that gets developed between groups of people or dynamics. And because I'm such a lover girl and how much they've tried to take that away from me by hurting me and by trying to break my heart over and over again, I will always be open to people. However, the lesson that I had to learn over the last year is to be more selective and to go slow with friendship, like how I would in a romantic relationship. Go slow with people, learn them, let them reveal themselves. And it's the friendships that have taken the longest to develop, at least as an adult, like in my adult years, in my later years. Because in my 20s, none of that really counts. And I know it can sound painful to certain people who knew me in my 20s because I was a drunken mess. I was on so many different types of drugs, I know. And so who I was is not the true essence of who I am. And so it's no mystery that anything again built prior to 2021 April of, sort of conflates in on itself. It has conflated in on itself. It wasn't built on anything sustainable. Sobriety has showed me who I really am. Because you're who you are in the face of adversity. And if you don't have something to go, if you don't have the drink or the drug or the person or whatever to fall back on, you're going to have to sit with whoever the fuck you show up to be as that. So, who are you in the face of adversity without the substances? That is who you are. And I love who I am when I don't have the drink, or the thing to fall back on, and like, or just like, let me hit this bowl real quick to like deal with this stressful situation. Now I drink tea. I drink a lot of tea. Yesterday, Mika scared the shit out of me, and I really thought I lost my heart. And I had ordered this tea like a few days ago, but it was in the mailbox, and so I had to go to the. I drank this tea. Oh my god, it felt so good. It was ashwagandha in it. It was really good. I think cloves too. But I was like, yeah, it's literally called stress and anxiety tea. See here, yeah, she's passed out right now. Sometimes I like to watch her belly move up and down and make sure she's good. We are battling a pretty intense flea situation right now, and so I'm looking online and doing a bunch of research to do holistic approaches to killing the fleas and not, to use those advantage. Because I'm like, yo, if those fleas die immediately within 30 minutes of taking this medicine, can you imagine how toxic it is for the actual animal? Like, anyway, apparently cats can live up to 39 years. I learned that over this weekend. Somebody's cat lived to 39 Earth years, human years. Mika, I know you can hear me. Is there anything else? Oh, something about the 20s and 30s. I don't know. Something about that. Suddenly I thought about my college. I recently reconnected with an old friend from college, and we've since gotten to know each other again, in our 30s. And it's been an incredible journey to have at least one person who knew me in my 20s still be in my life in my 30s in such a way that isn't laced with bitterness or resentment, because a lot of my relationships are laced with bitterness and resentment. Something about my family too. They don't really know We don't really know each other. I That's a whole other video for a whole other time, and I'm not really gonna get into that right now. It's too much for me. It's 5 o'clock in the fucking morning, and I haven't slept in 12 hours more than. Right. Persephone really messed up my sleep schedule. I will say that. I'm very glad that I finished that version of the song, that it's out in the world. It's not done yet, which is why I don't really promote my music. I'm not really happy with how it sounds. Um, it's more important to release the song and then create content when it's time to create content in the right timing. Something about timing too, I wanted to speak about, because I could have released this song 3 weeks ago in its raw form, but I didn't. I chose to release it after I worked on it for 3 weeks. And then I sent it to my friend who I reconnected with tonight. They came over to the studio tonight, and they were saying, it's interesting that you sent me this song the day after I like released a bunch of things. The timing really matters, and you cannot really control timing. It's sort of an internal process that you have to refine and get better at listening so that you're able to show up at the spaces in the right. You cannot control these things. You cannot buy your way through certain dynamics. You cannot. What we're honing in on, alchemy, the process of, this is the only thing, honestly, that matters. Like, you can pay a producer to make a great beat for you, but if your energetic force field can't sustain the whiplash, the emotional jargon, and I mean that in like an elusive way, the existential crises that comes with releasing a track that holds as much as it does, then you sort of flop. And your artistry and your craft is the only thing that can speak for itself. You don't have to be in the room. If somebody listens to a song and it might not have the best mastering behind it, but if it was made from a space of authenticity and truth and honesty and integrity and pain and suffering and betrayal that you transmuted, then it will hold that, you know or it'll be delivered in the right way, I should say. I love water. Oh my god. Is there anything else that I want to speak about? Performance is not performance anymore. It is the deliverance of soul. I think that's it. I'm drawing a blank. And I'm getting tired. It's time for a little nap. I've been taking these like incremental naps in the middle of the day. Okay, time to go.